Alright everybody, I apologize for the late start. It definitely wasn't good. I was all set to go and everything crashed. It definitely not a good way to start. Got a little bit of a delay here too with everything. A lot of lag going back and forth.
Alright everybody, I apologize for the late start.
Yeah, I was all set to...
wasn't good. I was all set to go.
Rough start. The whole system had to restart, so I'm going to start off with a drink tonight. Got my alright, what kind of alrighty guys, well, I'm going to do a little Racket River Brewing Company, something local here, right in Tupper Lake, New York. So I'm going to drink this while I'm kind of getting things caught up. But yeah, my entire computer shut down and crashed right as I was about to start the live stream. So we'll try to do an expedited stream here, just to do a little something, at least a little bit of study session here right before Christmas. So I'm going to continue on with my extra class book here that I've got from Gordon here, and continue on where I left off in the rules and regs section, and we'll get going from there. Any questions, if anybody's watching, questions, answers, interaction, that'll be outstanding. Otherwise, let's get to it. So in our rules and regs, I'm going to do this right off. I don't know how well we can see here, how in focus it is, but I'm still playing around with some cameras and stuff like that, so bear with me folks. So start off with our next question here in the rules and regs section. To what type of regulations does PRB-1 apply? You've got A, homeowners associations, FAA tower height limits, state local zoning, use of wireless devices in vehicles. So I am not sure on that. If you got a guess, go ahead and throw it in the comments too. That'll be helpful too, but let's go on here. PRB-1 is an FCC ruling that clarifies that the federal government has preemption over state and local zoning regulations. This means the state and local zoning governments have no jurisdiction over the radio transmission and equipment per se. However, hands who voluntarily enter into agreements with homeowner associations or other covenants are still subject to some antenna restrictions. So the correct answer is C, state and local zoning. So we'll mark that one. All right, sorry for the rush feeling, if anything, and if anybody's got an audio check, if I'm not loud enough, please let me know. Interaction or ideas, please share. So, all right, next question. What does PRB-1 require of regulations affecting amateur radio? Well, we just went over, obviously, state and zoning. A, no limitations may be placed on antenna size or placement. Reasonable accommodations of amateur radio must be made. Amateur radio operations must be permitted in any private residence. Use of wireless devices in a vehicle is exempt from regulation. I'm going to say B. Basically, FCC says that your state and local governments must provide a reasonable accommodations of amateur radio. So, let's see here. Because of the federal preemption, state and local governments must make reasonable accommodations for amateur radio. As you can see, the blue text again is important to remember. Primarily with regard to antennas, What reasonable actually means is currently under debate in many communities and will continue to be so for the foreseeable future. PRB-1 does not negate HOAs and covenants to voluntarily entered into by radio amateurs. So your HOA still can restrict you as far as that goes. So the correct answer is B, as I had said. I think it was. So, well, this has got me all thrown off tonight. This whole crash and everything going, and seeing a time delay between my my streaming and my chat window and stuff, so it's really got me thrown off. I apologize, everyone. Let's go on to the next question. See how many of these we can get here in a reasonable period of time. All right, under what circumstances might the FCC issue a special temporary authority, STA, to an amateur station? A, to provide for experimental amateur communications. B, to allow regular operation on land mobile channels. C, to provide additional spectrum or personal use. D, to provide temporary operation while awaiting normal licensing. Anybody? Oh, we only got a couple watching so far. Any guesses? Ham radio operators are always on the prowl for new types of emissions and vacate frequencies where the FCC may allow a special temporary authority. STA, a special temporary authority. While obtaining an FCC's STA requires diligence and numerous filings, ham operators have been successful in obtaining permission to experiment with new emissions that are not even mentioned in the rules to operate on unused very low frequencies, VLF, for specific propagation studies. These experimental communications may lead to the future rule making on our behalf. So the correct answer is A, provide experimental amateur communications. All right, next question here, the last one on the page. Which amateur stations may be operated under RACE's rules? Only those club stations licensed to amateur extra operators. B, any FCC licensed amateur station except a technician class. C, any FCC licensed amateur station certified by the responsible civil defense organization for the area served. Or D, any FCC licensed amateur station participating in the military auxiliary radio system. I'm going to say, I'm thinking the only one that makes sense to me would be a B. All amateur radio operators are eligible for RACE's membership once they are properly certified by the civil defense organization responsible for the area served. So there we go. I was wrong. I figured anybody can operate in it, and it didn't make sense that they're talking about the civil defense organization. You must plan ahead if you want to be part of RACES. It takes official certification and training before you help. In an emergency, the best an uncertified and untrained operator can do is listen and stay out of the way. Answer C. Now, I should have known that because I'm actually registered for my local area here doing the RACES Aries. I should have known that. So I apologize. But I did say at the very start, doing these first two of these, is I would guess along, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's why I'm doing this and studying and learning. So let's. Anybody got any feedback for me so far? All right, let's try to do a few more of these. I'll be looking at time-wise. Yeah, I don't want to overstay too much here, but I want to do a few more. Get through some more questions here. This, make it a worthwhile little stream here for everybody, so I can get some studying in too here right before Christmas. All right, what frequencies are authorized to an amateur station operating under RACI's rules? Is it A, all amateur service frequencies authorized to the control operator? B, specific segments in an amateur service, MF, HF, VHF, and UHF bands? C, specific local government channels? Or D, military auxiliary radio system MARS, actual MARS channels? So, anyone with a valid amateur radio license, including novice class, is eligible to be certified by a civil defense organization as a RACI's operator. However, you do not gain any out-of-band privileges as a RACI's operator. So it's only going to be what, based on your license, what you're authorized to operate in, that you can, just because, you know, you might be a lot of extras in your group and plan to operate in a certain section of the band. If you're a tech, you can't join in on that part of the band because you're not authorized based on your license. So it's all going to be based on that control operators. Alright, what is a volunteer examiner coordinator? A person who has volunteered to administer amateur operator license examinations. A person who has volunteered to prepare amateur operator license examinations. An organization that has entered into an agreement with the FCC to coordinate, prepare, and administer amateur operator license examinations. A person who has entered into agreement with the FCC to be the VE session manager. Well, obviously the VEC is who gives all the tests, and that isn't the. So it's going to be, I believe it's going to be B, because C is an actual group or something, and then there's also a group that's administers for the FCC, makes up all the exams and the questions. So a volunteer examiner coordinator is an organization that has an agreement with the FCC to coordinate amateur radio license exams. So it is C. Well, I am off my rocker tonight, folks. Wrong all over the board. I'm reading into it too much and not enough sometimes. So correct answer is C. Two of the biggest VECs are the American Radio Relay League and the W5YI VEC. You hear a lot on both of these groups all over YouTube and in the radio community. W5YI is definitely a very well-known leader in the VEC community. So our next question here. Who does Part 97 task with maintaining the pools of questions for all U.S. amateur license exams? A, the VEs, B, the FCC, C, the VECs, or D, the ARRL? It's going to be B, the FCC. The FCC actually maintains all that, but they've got a committee that every 4 years comes up with the new questions pools. So I'm going to say B. The National Conference of Volunteer Examiner Coordinators, the NCVEC, has an internal question pool committee that ensures all exam questions are valid. Each of the 3 amateur radio question pools is updated every 4 years. The question pools are maintained by all of the VECs. Hams are encouraged to work with the VECs to help keep the pools stocked with fresh questions. The questions do not come from, nor are they maintained by the. So it's not the VEC oversees the NCVEC, but so it is going to be, I think, yep, C. I need to just read through and stop guessing tonight. All right, next question on this page here. We're still in the rules and regs section. I want to try to get through a lot of these, but I mean, we're talking quite a few questions in this exam pool. All right, which of the following best describes a volunteer examiner accreditation process? A, each general, advanced, or amateur extra class operator is automatically accredited as a VE when the license is granted. B, the amateur operator applying must pass a VE examination administered by the FCC Enforcement Bureau. C, the prospective VE obtains accreditation from the FCC. D, the procedure by which the VEC confirms that the VE applicant meets FCC requirements and serves as an examiner. I'm torn between C and D. I think it's D, but I'm probably wrong again tonight, as I've been with several. So, VE accreditation is received from volunteer examiner coordinators. Let me get this into VECs that make sure each VE applicant meets specific FCC requirements and has a clean record. So the correct answer is D. Now we're getting through some of these, folks. Thank you for the patience again. All right. Now here's another little fixture in blue. The accredited extra class volunteer examiner may test all levels of ham radio licensing. Just a little food for thought there. For which types of out-of-pocket expenses do the Part 97 rules state that the VEs and VECs may be reimbursed? Is it A, preparing, processing, administering, and coordinating an examination for an amateur radio operator license? B, teaching an amateur operator license examination preparation course? C, no expenses are authorized for reimbursement? Or D, providing an amateur operator licensing exam? I believe A is the correct answer on this, because your test preps and processing of the paperwork and submitting, through the mail and everything, I believe is reimbursable. Volunteer examiners and VECs are allowed to recoup the out-of-pocket expenses for preparing, processing, administering, and coordinating an examination for an amateur radio license. So the correct answer is A. So if you go and become, you get involved enough into the hobby and you want to become a VEC, you would be eligible for recoup of expenses incurred for administering and processing the exams. Next question. To which of the following examinees may a VE not administer an examination? A, employees of the VE. B, friends of the VE. C, relatives of the VE as listed in the FCC rules. I do believe it is relatives. Or is it D? All the choices are correct. I'm going to go with D. I'm going to change my mind, because relatives especially, I could see where if you're an employee of that person as well as a friend, they frown on you on that. As a volunteer examiner, you may not test your own close relatives, such as kids, grandkids, brothers and sisters, and parents, as indicated in the FCC rules. So it is C, relatives, and relatives alone. If it's your boss or an employee of yours or friends, you can test them. Working with kids as an Elmer or VE is both fun and a great way to help the radio grow. So keep that in mind. Get involved with the hobby. I'm trying to do more, one with doing this channel and share my journey along with everybody as I'm learning and trying to increase my growth in the hobby, and get involved as a VE. If I can get my extra class, I do intend on trying to become a VE to help administer exams. So what we got here? Trying to see what we're looking at time-wise. We're not doing too bad. I'll try to run for Another brief few here. Try to see if we can get some more questions done here on the page. How many more? Rules and regs. Oh. I am going to try to finish up rules and regs section this video, folks, so we can move on to other less dry topics. All right. So, next question here. Who is responsible for the proper conduct and necessary supervision during an amateur operator license examination session? A, the VEC coordinating the session. B, the FCC. C, each administrating VE. Or D, the VE session manager. I'm going to say everybody there administering any VE there is going to be responsible for it. But the person ultimately is going to come down on is the session manager. But I say it's everybody's responsibility. Each of the administrating VE must continuously supervise everyone in the room taking the exams. The VEs are the final authority for any issue that might arise during the exam session. So that is C. Each person there administrating as a VE. All right, next question. What must administering VEs do after the administration of a successful examination for an amateur operator license? Is it A, they must collect and send documents to the VEC or the NCVEC for grading? They must collect and submit the documents to the coordinating VEC for grading, or they must submit the application document to the coordinating VEC according to the coordinating VEC instructions, or D, they must collect and send the documents to the FCC according to the instructions. Well, once you complete your exam, they grade it, and upon successful completion, they submit all the paperwork into the FCC. So I'm going to say D. If your head VE for the exam session called the administering VE, you must submit the application documents to the coordinating VEC, follow the instructions on the VEC on how to submit the paperwork. So it is C. So the VECs administering the test actually have to submit it in to the main VECs and then on to the FCC. So it is C. Well, I definitely have a lot more studying to do before I take my exam. What is the minimum passing score on all operator license examinations? Minimum passing score is 70. Minimum passing score 74. Score of an 80 or 77. So passing score is 74. As an accredited volunteer examiner, you need to know the number of questions and this applicant can miss while still achieving the minimum passing grade of 74%. Technician class and general class cannot miss more than 9 questions and pass with 26 correct out of 35. The extra class cannot miss more than 13 questions and pass with 37 correct out of 50. So the correct answer is B. All right. What must the VE team do if an examinee scores a passing grade on all examination elements needed to upgrade or new license? A, photocopy all examination documents and forward them to the FCC for processing. 3 VEs must certify that the examinee is qualified for the license grant and that they have compiled with the administrating VE requirements. Issue the examinee a new or upgrade license, or D, all these are correct. I'm going to say B, they must certify. When the examinee upgrades to the new higher license, the 3-member VE team must certify the exam paperwork and sign the CSCE, Certificate of Successful Completion of Exam. The applicant holds on to the CSCE as proof of their successful upgrade until the license is issued by the FCC. So it is B. The 3 VEs will have to go through and certify all the paperwork and make sure that everything's correct and all in a row and ready to submit and compile and sign off on it. Basically, you're that next step up. Like as if you're a tech and you pass your general, you can start transmitting on your generals as a stroke AG until you see the FCC is upgraded and posted your new license on the list. Okay, and this is a sample of an CSCE right here, your National Volunteer Examiner Coordinator. This one actually says W5YI VEC. This is like a carbon copy thing. You'll get a copy of this when you successfully complete your exam that all of the VEs have signed off on, saying you've passed your exam to upgrade or receive your new license. So what must the VE team do with the application form if the examinee does not pass the exam? Return the application document to the examinee. Maintain the application form with the VEC's records. Send the application form to the FCC, inform the FCC of the grade, or destroy the application form. They're going to return the documents to the testee. You will return the application to the examinee and inform the candidate of the failing grade. Try to do this compassionately, urging the candidate to continue study and try again soon. So it is A, return the documentation to the examinee. Okay. What should a VE do if the candidate fails to comply with the examiner's instructions during an amateur operator license examination? Warn the candidate that continued failure to comply will result in termination of the examination. B, immediately terminate the candidate's examination. Allow the candidate to complete the examination but invalidate the results. Immediately terminate everyone's exam and close the session. I'm going to say A, because you're going to warn somebody, give them a chance to continue on before you actually just, terminate their exam session. If an examinee fails to comply with your instructions, you immediately terminate that candidate's examination. Oh, so if they don't want to follow the rules, you just terminate it and tell them to come back again another time when they want to follow the rules. So it is B. So, last and final question of rules and regs, I do believe. We'll see. What may the penalty for a VE who fraudulently administers or certifies an examination? Revocation of the VE's amateur station license grant and the suspension of the VE's amateur operator license grant. B, a fine of up to $1,000 per occurrence. C, a sentence of up to 1 year in prison. Or D, all these choices are correct. I'm going to say A. Any VE who is caught administering a fraudulent exam may have his or her station license revoked and the VE examiner amateur radio license grant suspended. The answer is A. As you can see, I'm not reading ahead or studying ahead. Each one of these videos I'm doing, I'm going right along with it. So you're studying along with me, folks. I appreciate that. This actually isn't too bad of a local brew. Racket River Brewing, New England style India Pale Ale, Tupper Lake, New York. Good job, folks. It's a nice, tasty beverage. And I'll just kind of show this here briefly. Just talks about the effect of the ionosphere on radio waves. It's a little tidbit. And after that we get into skyways and contesting. Is the next section in the book here. So that ends in a 3-part. We are completed with the rules and regs section in Gordon West's book here for upgrading to an extra class. Alrighty, everybody. Well, I appreciate the patience. I hope it didn't delay too much. Thank you for those that joined in and viewed along with me. Again, anybody with feedback or comments to help improve these videos, any of them that I'm doing, especially these studying along for amateur extra. If you want to join in live, maybe in a Zoom tied in and coordinate between us, I'm all for it. Anything to improve the viewership. And again, if you like what's going on, please hit that subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of any new videos. It all helps me out. I'm trying to improve myself in the ham radio community and hobby, as well as help anybody else that wants to join in. So thanks again for watching, and as always, get on the air.